Hey guys, welcome to Chrono Crypt, and today we will be talking about ketchup. Yes, ketchup. Did you know that ketchup was once so toxic it was banned in multiple countries? Or that it was marketed as a cure for everything from tuberculosis to broken hearts? That's right, broken hearts. But how did this humble red sauce go from a mysterious Asian condiment to the global obsession we slather on everything from fries to eggs? Buckle up, because we're about to uncover the dark, twisted, and downright bizarre history of ketchup. By the end of this video, you'll never see that red bottle the same way again. So grab your favorite snack, maybe even some ketchup, but before we dive in, a quick note. This video is a historical documentary exploring the dark and fascinating past of ketchup. All information is based on research and does not suggest that modern ketchup products are unsafe. Viewer discretion is advised for some historical content. Let's get started. Let's travel back in time, way back to the 17th century in ancient China. The word ketchup actually comes from the Chinese term ke-tsiap, which was a salty, pungent sauce made from fermented fish, like anchovies, mixed with brine and spices. It wasn't sweet, it wasn't red, and it definitely wasn't made with tomatoes. In fact, tomatoes weren't even in Asia at the time. They were still a New World crop, brought over from the Americas later. This fish sauce wasn't just a random recipe. It was a staple in coastal regions, used to flavor dishes or preserve food. But here's where it gets interesting. Ke-tsiap traveled along trade routes, making its way to Southeast Asia, then to the Middle East, and eventually to Europe by the 1700s. When it hit England, people went nuts for it. They started experimenting, swapping out fish for other ingredients like mushrooms, walnuts, and even oysters. There was oyster ketchup, mushroom ketchup, you name it. But here's the million-dollar question. Why did they call all these random sauces ketchup? Was it just a trendy name, or was there something deeper going on? We'll get to that. For now, just know that tomatoes were still nowhere in the picture. So, how did they finally show up? And why did ketchup become a medicine? Stay with me. Fast forward to the early 1800s, and ketchup takes a turn so wild you won't believe it. Suddenly, doctors, and I use that term very loosely, started claiming that tomato-based ketchup could cure almost every ailment known to man. We're talking indigestion, diarrhea, jaundice, tuberculosis, even baldness, and, yes, broken hearts. Who knew ketchup was the ultimate love potion? The ringleader of this madness was a guy named Dr. John Cook Bennett. In the 1830s, he published articles praising tomatoes as a gift from nature, packed with vital energies. He said ketchup made from tomatoes could heal everything from stomach aches to cholera. Soon, companies jumped on the bandwagon, selling ketchup pills, tomato tonics, and even ketchup syrups. People were gulping this stuff down like it was the fountain of youth. But here's the shocking twist. Most of these products were laced with dangerous stuff. Lead, opium, mercury, you name it. Some ketchups were so toxic they caused lead poisoning, and a few people even died. Yes, died. Can you imagine buying a bottle of Heinz's Ancestor and ending up 6 feet under? It's horrifying. And the scams didn't stop there. By the mid-1800s, quack doctors were selling ketchup as a weight loss aid, a fertility booster, and even a treatment for mental illness. One ad claimed it could restore youthful vigor, whatever that means. Of course, it was all nonsense, but people believed it because science was still in its infancy and desperation was high. So, why did this craze happen? Well, tomatoes were new to Europe and America, and people were paranoid about them. Some thought tomatoes were poisonous because they're part of the nightshade family. But when doctors like Bennett flipped the script and said, No, tomatoes are amazing," people bought into it, literally. The ketchup industry exploded, but so did the danger. By the 1850s, governments in places like France and Germany started banning certain ketchups because they were literally killing people. Wild, right? So, how did ketchup survive this mess to become the safe, tasty sauce we know today? Enter Henry Heinz, the man who cleaned up ketchup's act. In 1876, Heinz stepped onto the scene with a mission: make ketchup safe, consistent, and marketable. At the time, most ketchups were still sketchy, made with coal tar dyes, moldy tomatoes, and preservatives that could make you sick. But Heinz had a game plan. He created a tomato-based ketchup using vinegar as a natural preservative, skipping the toxins and scams. He also added sugar and spices to balance the flavor, making it sweet, tangy, and addictive. And he didn't stop there. He marketed it as clean, wholesome, and family-friendly. His famous slogan, 57 varieties, wasn't just for ketchup. It was for his whole brand of products, but it became synonymous with quality. By the early 1900s, Heinz ketchup was a household name, sold in glass bottles with that iconic label we still recognize today. But here's the darker side. Heinz didn't just sell ketchup, he sold a cultural phenomenon. He convinced America, and later the world, that ketchup wasn't just a condiment, it was a necessity. Ever wonder why you feel like fries are incomplete without it? Blame Heinz's marketing genius. And get this, during World War II, ketchup packets were sent to soldiers as a morale booster. It was like a little taste of home in the trenches, but not everyone was on board. In the 2010s, France banned ketchup in some schools, calling it too processed and Americanized. Meanwhile, Japan embraced it, using ketchup in everything from omelets to pizza. Today, the global ketchup market is worth billions, with Heinz still dominating over 60% of it. But controversies linger. Some critics call it too sugary, too artificial, or even a symbol of cultural imperialism. So, is ketchup a hero or a villain? You decide. But one thing's for sure, its journey from fish sauce to fast food staple is one of the wildest stories in food history. There you have it, the dark, wild, and totally unexpected history of ketchup. From a fishy Chinese sauce to a deadly medicine, to the global obsession we can't live without. Next time you squeeze that red bottle, just remember, you're holding a piece of history that's part science, part scam, and all crazy. Oh, and here's one last fun fact to blow your mind. In the 1990s, a study found that ketchup's unique combination of sugar, vinegar, and umami makes it scientifically addictive to our brains. No wonder we can't stop dipping. Did you know that some people even collect vintage ketchup ads or bottles? It's a niche hobby, but hey, who am I to judge? What about you? What's the weirdest food fact you've ever heard? Or do you have a crazy ketchup story, like using it in a recipe it was never meant for? Drop it in the comments, I want to know. If you learned something new today, smash that like button, subscribe for more wild history lessons, and hit that bell so you never miss a video. Let's keep the conversation going. What's your favorite condiment, and does it have a dark past too? See you next time.